Hello and welcome to the Welcome to We Show. I'm Sue Blythe and I'm here this evening with a wonderful slate of guests. And we are here for We the World, and and the We campaign. And I am going to introduce Robert Levine, who is with our We team. And Robert, can you take it away?
Thank you, Sue, so much. I'm so happy I could be here. This is, first of all, a wonderful program. It's so wonderful that you're hosting, especially given that this is about the environment. You know, you as our coordinator on the environment have just done such a wonderful job, and it's so great to see you here tonight. So if folks don't know, I am Robert Levine, Levine, either way is fine. I'm the editor of Trends magazine. That's Trends in Global Grassroots Organizing. It's the magazine we put out quarterly. It can be found at trends.we.net. And one of the exciting articles that has appeared in our most recent issue, which came out in December, is an article by our guest, Robin Streichler. Am I saying that right, Robin?
That's right. Thank you.
So, the thing I talk about with a lot of people when you speak about the environment, everyone gets so overwhelmed. This is just cataclysmic issues. You talk global warming, you talk, what's happening to our air, to our oceans. The first thing people often say to me is, what can I do? I try to live a good life. I try to do what I can, but I feel hopeless and often helpless. And in your article, you speak directly about something we can do that would make a real difference that I think a lot of people don't even think about. Now, your article is entitled, and I love the title, "Don't Be Idle About Parked Vehicle Idling." So if you could just tell us a little bit about your article, Robin.
Yeah, well, I thank you for putting it in the Trends magazine, and it is very important, a very important issue. I think I want to preface this talk about this. It's actually a conservation measure we can all take very easily. I think I want to preface it by saying, at this point, I think we all realize we all have to do everything we can, because like you were saying, people want to know what to do, but even when you give them something to do, it seems like maybe a drop in the bucket. Is this really going to make a difference? For example, recycling, a lot of it really doesn't get recycled and so forth. So are these individual things going to make a difference? And that's why the subtitle of my article is "The Power of the Overlooked Obvious in Advocacy," because everything can make a difference. And I think the reason it makes a big difference, more than we think, by just doing the action, is the awareness we create by doing the action. So if we're going around, like, where are we asleep and where can we wake up? If we're going around in our lives and we don't realize how much pollution is coming out of our tailpipe, and even I like the example. This is the biggest example. I'm in Los Angeles. It's a car city. In fact, we create 25% of the pollution in all of the state of California from vehicular pollution. And that's just a statistic based on how many vehicles are in the Los Angeles County area compared to the state of California. Now, let me just start with this example. The schools around here, some of them, I'm not sure if all of them have bus service. There are some regulations on heavy duty vehicles for idling. So if a heavy duty vehicle over 10, I believe it's 10,000 pounds, or I'm not sure. But if it parks and it's not supposed to stay on, that's the only state law we have regarding idling. 8 other states have idling regulations for all vehicles. Now, why do we want those and why is it important? So let's go back to the school. In Los Angeles, parents line up to pick up their children at school. Children's lungs are developing, and it's very important to protect them from particulate pollution and the other chemicals which are very dangerous, that are in exhaust. Yet we have these parents who I have no doubt love their children very much. And they're probably picking them up to keep them safe, not having them walk home, maybe ride a bike. But the pollution when they're just sitting in their cars idling on the side of the road and not turning it off is a daily barrage of really, really toxic particulates and chemicals. And it can affect the lungs of the development and even the current health of their children. But yet they don't think of it. So like if we did think of it, what could we do? Because some parents would say, oh, what am I going to do? I have to sit here, I got to keep the air conditioner on or whatever. Well, if we did think about it, we make what I call adaptation strategies, because we need to do that now. We need to look at the areas where we have to think of alternatives. So let's park in shifts on the curb and meet children in air-conditioned auditoriums. Let's find a different way than making our cars, a living room, an office, a charging station for cell phones, etc. And I just have to say about the charging, people care about cell phone plans. Let's get a good plan that's not very expensive. And yet I can't tell you how many people I've talked to that are just running their cars parked, saying, I have to charge my phone. I have to charge my laptop. Okay, so what's really happening? And this is where I'm saying the overlooked obvious. What's the awareness here? What's really happening is you're using a device and you're powering it on gasoline. And you're powering it on expensive gasoline. And in California, it's close or over $4 a gallon. So, we care about each other, and people are suffering. They're suffering financially. And yet we don't have an awareness that the simple act of turning off your engine, if you have a gasoline vehicle, of course, or a diesel vehicle, when parked, saves, and this is the statistic, it saves like 2 minutes of parked vehicle idling equals the same amount of gas use as driving 1 mile. So it surprises me, the areas where people are not making the connections of like, what can I do, and what's the benefit? It's a private site called iturnitoff.com, and it tells you all the statistics about parked vehicle idling. It say if once you're parked for 10 seconds, you save wear and tear on your vehicle by turning it off. You save a lot of pollution, which also can get into the car. There's actually, it's in my article, there's a University of Surrey study which shows that that a lot of actually the exhaust does get back into the car because you're not moving, you're just sitting. So it surrounds the car. And of course, if cars were airtight, we'd suffocate. So they're not airtight, right? And these are just, these concepts which I'm talking about are just concepts that if really think about it, they're obvious. They're obvious.
Right. Yeah,
So,
and that was one of the things that I found most fascinating in your article, the effect it has for the person sitting in the car. I never thought about that before.
Right. I've even seen people wash their cars with their dog inside and the car's running and they say, well, my dog's in the car. The kids are in the car. People are not realizing the dangers. And so why aren't they realizing the dangers? And I think, what we don't see or actually smell often evades us, but it's truly dangerous. The parked vehicle, and I want to clarify for everyone, and this is in my article, I'm never recommending people not run their engines if there's a safety issue. Let's say it is very extremely hot or cold or something, or it's a need for a critical business usage of the car running while parked or the vehicle running while parked, or safety, like police or emergency use of the vehicle running. And I'm not talking about cars that are in traffic, because that's a whole nother story. But vehicle idling parked alone. So we go up like, this is averages, but or estimates, but based on Department of Transportation and so forth, facts. So parked vehicle alone, parked vehicle idling alone in California causes approximately 3 million tons of CO2 annually in the state. A quarter of that is produced by Los Angeles. So it's about 30 million tons in the country, because California is a big car state. So that's about 10% of the country. And then just multiply that by the globe, and you've saved, with a win-win action. There's no downside to this. Like I said, if it's an emergency, you do it, but there's no downside to turning off your vehicle when you're parked. So it would be hundreds of million tons, I think, annually, just saved by doing that. Not to mention a lot of money for people who are suffering from paying too much for gasoline.
Yeah. Now, I was glad to see that that I live in one of the cities that does have an idling law in New York. I'm in New York City. And I was very happy to hear that. But I know you are working very hard to try to pass such a law in LA. That you've been working with advocacy groups.
Right. I just really, and I want to also tell people about the power of individual advocacy. I mean, I've worked professionally with environmental groups, but not at the moment. But a few years ago, and I was not working professionally as an environmental advocate, I just noticed people doing this. And that's just amazing that I didn't even have the awareness before like 2018. So I noticed people doing it, and I just brought it to my representatives. I called them. I said, this seems like a waste. People should know the facts so they can make an informed choice. And that started like, I'll tell you, if you have a good issue and you do connect with your representative's state, which was my state senator, my state assembly person, and my local council member, and you're willing to do a lot of work to give them all the information they need to present it, you can get somewhere. And then, of course, after that, I did draw in the American Lung Association, Sierra Club, Climate Reality, Local Climate Reality Project Group, and other advocates, youth climate strikers, and some environmental justice groups. And, you know, they supported it. It's sort of a no-brainer, you know, so they all did support it. And think it was not too long ago, maybe half a year ago, the city council did pass a motion to have the Department of Transportation of Los Angeles educate people. Now, this is very interesting. I know you said you had a law. Law was not going to go forward in LA or in the state at this time because of, this is just interesting what I've learned is the people who would be more what you'd consider progressive were concerned that this would be a law that policemen would stop minorities or low-income people and harass them with. The people on the other side of the spectrum did not want to be told what to do. You know, so they did not want another law telling them how to behave or live. So education's good because it's such a win-win topic.
Right. Robin, I just want to thank you. Really appreciate your talking to us. It's a fabulous article. I want to recommend to everyone to go on to trends.we.net and to read your article. The work you're doing is so important and you show such passion and such love for it. So thank you for sharing that with us this evening.
Thank you. We can all do a lot if we see something that needs to be taken care of. I promise you, you have the power to change things. Thank you.
Great. Thank you so much and take care. Sue, back to you.
Sue Blythe, are you there somewhere?
Yes, I'm here.
I was looking for Sue. Hey, Tony.
How are you?
I'm doing well. I want to make sure Sue's there somewhere.
Well, she's on mute, so she might not hear.
That's the problem. I've been talking
there she
to
is.
everybody saying, come on in, let's everybody turn on your video so we can get to see you. Oh, hello. Me too. Me too. Step by step, folks. Here we go. And very good. So I'm going to just let our I think what we'll do is just get started on the script that we have for tonight. And when we get done with that, then we can have some introductions all the way around, because I know the kids are time short, and we're just really glad to have you here, Rebecca and Victoria. And so who am I not seeing? Oh, okay, I see. All right. So,
Shannon's not with us yet.
no, she isn't, is she? Okay. Robin, would you like to? Oh, no, I didn't send you the script. Oh, my
Well,
goodness.
feel free to send it to me. I'll get it instantly. So.
Yeah, well, Tabby, would you be Shannon tonight, please?
Yeah, I can do that.
Thank you so much. Okay, so I would like to share my screen. No, I won't share my screen. I'm going to, what's happening is, oh my goodness. I'm going to switch back to gallery view. Rebecca, I hear you're not feeling so good, yes? Uh-oh, Rebecca froze. Oh my goodness, let me take a breath and see if we can't do this better. Okay, I am going to open up my script and this over here. Sorry, folks. We can cut a big edit out of this. Exit full screen. Roll it over there. Okay, so I'm going to ask Tony if you will start us off, please.
Alrighty. Time for our rehearsal, folks. We're going to get this ready for showtime in March and April. Places, everyone. Ready? And action.
Welcome to Building Community in a Changing Climate, a collaborative storytelling adventure with the Interfaith Climate Group. We invite people of all ages in Alachua County, Florida, and our global networks of support to help tell the story of one human family and one Earth community with a common destiny.
Welcome to the Wisdom Well. The sages of the ages represent the wisdom traditions of the human family. Throughout human history, prophets and seers have told of a time of peace on the planet, with prosperity for all, including the living things we share this planet with. Listen to these words of wisdom from human history. From the Jewish teachings in Proverbs, whoever oppresses the poor to increase his own wealth or gives to the rich, which will only come to poverty.
From the Christian teachings, and now abideth faith, hope, and charity, these three, but the greatest of these is charity. From the Zoroastrian teachings, blessed is one who adds to the happiness of another.
From the Native American teachings of Chief Dan George, love is something you and I must have. We must have it because our spirit feeds upon it. We must have it because without it, we become weak and faint. Without love, our self-esteem weakens. Without it, our courage falls. Without love, we can no longer look out confidently at the world. But with love, we are creative. With it, we march tirelessly. With it, and with it alone, we are able to sacrifice for others.
From the Baha'i teachings, the welfare of any segment of humanity is inextricably bound up with the welfare of the whole. Humanity's collective life suffers when any one group thinks of its own well-being in isolation from that of its neighbors, or pursues economic gain without regard for how the natural environment, which provides sustenance for all, is affected. And from Martin Luther King Jr., we must rapidly begin the shift from the thing-oriented society to a person-oriented society. When machines and computers, profit motives, and property rights are considered more important than people, the giant triplets of racism, materialism, and militarism are incapable of being conquered. A true revolution of values will soon look uneasily on the glaring contrast of poverty and wealth.
So Dr. King was asking us to be mindful that people are more important than things. Let's talk about this. How would our world be if we truly valued each human being as an essential part of our human family? What would that be like? Anyone? Any thoughts? And what would
Would you
it
like
be?
this in the chat,
Pardon?
or would you like it in the chat or aloud?
Well, I think aloud. You have something to
Okay.
add? Sure.
I would think that if we all valued each human being as an essential part of our human family, that there would be a lot more peace and compassion in the world.
Okay. Then what if we truly valued nature as part of the wholeness of which we are a part?
I like to think of the Gaia theory with this one, Sue, that it is a living thing and we don't think about it as such. We think of a grain of sand as being just a grain of sand, but when you live close to the coastal areas, you see how the shifting sands with every storm and your barrier islands really do have a life and a presence.
Okay. So we'll take these words of wisdom with us as we travel on the road to 2030, 2050, and beyond.
All right, let's see if we can put all of that into a kind of game where kids can ask the grown-ups to help build a world that works for all. Hey kids, what time is it?
Victoria?
It's time to the World House Treasure Hunt.
Time to ask our friends in Alachua County to talk about the global goals for prosperity.
It's time to share our gifts for life on Earth. That's the people, places, and things that we use to make a world that works for all.
My family made a video about economic justice using the words of the Earth Charter. Watch 3-minute video.
Okay. Oop, let me make this big.
Everyone must have what they need to live. Collaborate so there are no poor people.
Help that institutions economic activities such as production, distribution, and consumption promote human development
in an equitable and sustainable manner. So help people to live better. Boys and girls are equally important. Women and men are equally important.
They deserve the same access to education, healthcare, and economic opportunity.
Work so that any person, regardless of their skin color,
Regardless of their country, their language, or their religion,
can live with dignity. In a supportive, natural, and social environment. Everyone must have what they need to live.
Wait. Okay.
Alrighty, that looks like the beginning of a game.
We can ask plant that has a seed idea in the Garden of Global Unity and ask others to help make a game of prosperity for people and planet.
People of all ages have great ideas to make the world a better place. Many are small-scale volunteer projects in homes and neighborhoods. Others lead to new nonprofit organizations or businesses that serve many people. We have a friend right here in Alachua County, Florida, who knows a lot about helping people to grow seed ideas from vision to reality. Bill Dorman is director at the Center for Innovation and Economic Development, a business incubator at Santa Fe College in Gainesville, Florida. He'll tell us a little about what a project incubator does. So, Bill?
My name is Bill Dorman. Thank you, Sue, for that introduction. I work for Santa Fe College, and our business incubator helps companies get started and grow. I started the incubator with the college in 2009, and in the last 13 years, I've helped over 200 businesses get started. All of these people could be considered to be entrepreneurs. An entrepreneur is somebody who chooses to pursue an opportunity without regard for the resources they might currently control. And I'll give you a quick example of that. Early on in our program, we had a young woman come to us who wanted to start a business called Corks and Colors. It's a business that would allow moms to have a night off, get together and enjoy snacks and a beverage and make a painting they would create and then take that painting home. She didn't have any money to start this business, so I gave her some homework and told her that she might be able to pull this off if she could get a few of her friends to sign up with enough lead time that she could order her products for the class. I told her, if you can get 20 people to sign up, come back, talk to me, we'll take the next step. well, I expected she might or might not return in a week. She called me the next day and said, okay, I've got 20 people signed up. I'm ready to go. What's next? So we helped her get a place to do the work. She signed some people up. She had her first class. After that, she had a couple more classes. Eventually, she had so many classes that she had to have her own space. She was able to not only quit the job that she had, which made that job available for somebody else to do. She hired artists to do the work, and she ultimately sold that business to another entrepreneur who is continuing to run it. She's come back to us with another idea that she's going to be bringing to market soon, and we're very excited about that. So here at Santa Fe College, our business incubator helps companies get started and allow them to grow that business for the greater good.
Awesome. So I want you to know that we are planning to bring lots of seed ideas to this program. And one I know is Victoria has an idea for doing a lot of arts and crafts, and wondered if you have any ideas for how we could turn that into something that involves a lot of people, step by step. How does one start a project like that?
Gosh, well, there's a lot baked in there, and I don't have a script for how to answer this, but I will say that if we were to clearly define the group of people that we're trying to reach, and then craft a message that will effectively reach them, and then work backwards from there, for this vision for these people we're going to help, work back to where we are today, and then figure out what it is that we need step by step to get there, like setting up dominoes.
So getting the vision first is an essential part of this process.
Yes.
Yes. So I'm reminded of a big vision that our President John Kennedy put out when I was a kid, and I was in high school, I think, when he said, let's well, why don't you tell that story? You told this to me, and I would love you to
Oh,
share it.
well, sure. That's we want to put a man on the moon. And so, President Kennedy said that, I believe that this country should commit itself before this decade is out to put a man on the moon and return him safely to Earth. That's a very simple, direct, concrete statement that ultimately had about 400,000 people working towards that common goal. So, setting that clear vision for what the future could look like can set something in motion that, has a huge worldwide impact.
Beautiful. So I'm just realizing that the way I've been doing this is very challenging for our viewers, because anyway, we will figure this out. So Bill, thank you so much for sharing that. And I want to hear also from Jack Strasberg, who's We the World's Campaign for Economic Justice, working with that campaign. And Jack, you have ideas about an economy that works for all. Tell us a little about that.
Yeah. And well, all of us, I think, are pretty much aware of the primary purpose for an economy. Put food on the table, roof over our head, provide health care, transportation, entertainment, a few things like that. A problem is that the economy we live in contains a lot of things that we just flat do not need. And it's very wasteful, and it's inefficient, and this is a major contribution to climate change. And perhaps most importantly, it just does not work for a lot of people. So the thinking behind creating this economy project, what I call helping create an economy that works for all, comes from the mission of We the World. And that mission is basically comes down to working toward a world that works for all. And it's pretty difficult for me to even imagine a world that works for all without an economy that works for all. We really need a new economy. So a very effective way of going about this is to contribute to, or I guess I would say support conscious businesses. And these are businesses that are working for a better world. But that can be difficult because it is often difficult to know who's who in the zoo and to find conscious businesses. And this is the major reason why many folks who want to support conscious businesses don't do it regularly. So if we want people to do it more often, we need to make it easy and convenient. So this is a major reason why we created the We online store. And we are inviting conscious business people to become vendors. And we are spreading the word to conscious shoppers that there is a place that they can come to and find conscious products and services in an easy and convenient way. And we all know how easy it is to shop online. So basically, what this comes down to is that if we can create an economy that works for all, then we have pretty much accomplished our goal of economic justice. And that's kind of where I'm going to end things up here. That's what I'm hoping to get.
Okay, and we're all hoping that we can end up with a economy that works for everything and keeps the balance of nature. It's really a juggling act that we're involved in here. But I want to just kind of put the idea out for just a minute about that the panel of the little mural that the kids made. They cut out all the pieces and put them together. I'm seeing that as the beginning of a game that I hope that we can build together. And I'm seeing this as a project that we could develop perhaps with the business incubator at Santa Fe and help to get the vision of the We store built into that and see if we can't do something that works to get people engaged in this process of having a system that works for all people. And I know, Bill, you have quite a few people. I've been watching the incubatees who come through at Santa Fe, and I wondered if you could just talk for a little minute about the this idea of conscious businesses, that some are really focused on taking care of people and planet.
Well, sure. I think you can bake that concept into a business from the very beginning. And we see that happening more and more. Certainly the idea of, profit for profit's sake can come under fire. But certainly if you redefine what profit is, and that is the well-being of all the people who are involved in this enterprise, well then, creating the work that the business does is very beneficial.
Great. Okay, well, again, I'm going to just apologize to the people who are watching this afterwards, because my my skills at doing this part of the show is very minimal, apparently, because here I am showing all of my script and my everything on here, and it's not a very polished presentation, shall we say, but we can continue. And Tabby?
Every September, We the World hosts 11 days of global unity. From September 11th, a day of tragedy and unity, to September 21st, the International Day of Peace.
Okay, so let's take a little look at how our project incubator works. We're calling it the Gardens of Global Unity, where all things are possible. And so we'll focus on that during September. But in February and early March, we're planting seed ideas that we will nurture in the coming months. And then in September, when we get to the 11 days of global unity, we'll see how those projects are growing.
We can use the resources we've collected in our tool shed to grow seeds ideas from visions to reality.
What's in our tool shed?
Well, unbeknownst to all, I've been keeping track of the tools and resources submitted in the workshops for Peace and People, which were the previous 2 weeks workshops. It's just the beginning, but here's what we have so far. Keeping score, keeping in mind that 1 point was assigned for each submitted resource for our tool shed. At this point, we have 5 songs, 7 books, 5 movies, 5 people, 5 organizations. And also we have 2 games. So now let's see if we can add more resources for prosperity.
Okay, I want to add some programs to help young people understand how to make a difference in their own schools and communities. So let me share my screen. And we'll come here. One of these programs is called The Story of Stuff, and it gives a really wonderful explanation of how our current system is not working for everyone. And so the goal has been to get more and more and more stuff. And the idea that we might want to make a change so that we have not an equal, that building more schools is not the same as building more bombs, that we have to make choices about what we want to make in our world to make the world a better place. And they have in The Story of Stuff a whole layout that looks a lot like the game that we want to play. So again, we're putting together lots of ideas for a game that we can play together in our whole community as we think about these things. This is a program for young people, probably upper elementary and middle school kids are involved in so many wonderful projects. This program has, I think it's 11 different videos of kids who really made a big difference in their own home schools and communities. And they have an action planning program so that you can see how they did it and how you might take your ideas and grow them from vision to reality. Another is called the Global CoLab Network, and this is actually working with the Sustainable Development Goals. These are kids all over the world who have focused in on one of the goals. You know that the one we work on mostly is climate action, but all of the goals for taking care of people, education and health, so many different goals that we have that we're working together to win by the year 2030. So this is one group that can really help us on that path. And we're going to be offering this to kids in Alachua County. Another one is called Peace First Challenge, and it helps young people ages 13 to 25 create and lead projects that address injustice in their community through compassion, courage, and collaborative leadership. And the neat thing is they have mini grants up to $250 with digital tools, mentors, and access to a global community of change makers. And we have, I've tapped into this network, and it's really fun to meet the kids and what they're doing. And so I'm just going to say this is our theme song for the Gardens of Global Unity. And we'll move forward. Yep. Let's see.
A lot of different kinds of things. They'll decide.
Whoop.
by inch, row by row, gonna make this garden grow. Gonna mulch it deep and low, gonna make it fertile ground. Inch by inch, row by row, please bless these seeds I sow. Please keep them safe below till the rain come tumbling down.
That's my friend Pete Seeger, who has there's much more to that song, but you get the idea. And we're trying to bring in a lot of songs and games and storytelling and words of wisdom and all kinds of things to our program that we will be sharing in the coming March and April to put together a kind, it's like we're calling it Climate Collaboratory the Musical, and we're telling a story that we hope will help to engage many people. So Victoria, you want to, what do you think about that garden song?
Well, I really like it, and I really, I don't know how to explain it, but I just really like it.
I'm glad. So you want to add it to our musical menu?
Sure.
We've got lots of music that we're adding in. Rebecca?
Yeah, the song is really pretty, and like, I mean, it really helps, and it does like really relate to like the seed ideas in the garden.
Yeah. Okay. So we are helping to make a world that works for all, and that's 100% of humanity and the community of life on Earth, our home. That would be Tabby.
I'm sorry, I was having a little bit of a technical difficulty with my script. I am very, very sorry.
No problem.
Is this where we're living these words from the Earth Charter?
Yes, please.
All right, I will now read from the Earth Charter. Let ours be a time remembered for the awakening of a new reverence for life, the firm resolve to achieve sustainability, the quickening of the struggle for justice and peace, and the joyful celebration of life.
And cut. Great rehearsal, everyone. What do you think?
Pretty rough. Pretty rough, but hey, we're learning, right? Okay, so I want to just let the kids know that I appreciate your inspiration for all of this. It was because of these kids and their brother Adrian that we are developing these gardens of global unity as a place where we can grow seed ideas. And hopefully we'll be getting better presentation with it as we go. But I want to thank Bill Dorman and Jack Strasberg for helping us out to understand it. And Rebecca and Victoria, thank you for being here. And I want to just say thanks for joining us. And I know you both have other things that you need to do tonight, so I'm going to let you go. You're welcome to stay, of course, but we would just thank you for being here tonight.
My pleasure. Thank you for having me.
Okay.
Yeah, and thank you for having me too. I enjoyed it. I like your show there. I think it's got a lot of potential. I think the kids they're getting right there.
Well, maybe we could talk about the potential instead of trying to make it such a glamorous presentation. What do you think about the potential for this activity? And Rebecca, if you need to go, it's okay. And Victoria.
Yeah, I just want to say thank you for inviting us here. Have a nice rest of your day.
Okay, thank you, sweetie.
Bye-bye.
Good night.
Bye, Sue. Have a nice day.
Thank
or
you, you
night.
too. Nice night. You too. Bye-bye.
Goodbye.
Okay, so here we are and wanted to just see any thoughts you had on how we can move forward with this. Robin, I'd love to hear your thoughts about what we are trying to do.
Oh, well, what I wanted clarification on the eco. So you had the peace thing, and then what was the eco? Could you just explain? It sounded fascinating. The eco challenge by 2030, you said.
Okay, so what's happening is we're bringing together all the resources that I've learned about in my search for many years. The one that you're referring to is the 17 Sustainable Development Goals set by the United Nations in the year 2015. And they said that these are goals that we want to accomplish or win by 2030. And so the series of 6 workshops that we're working on right now is about the different sustainable development goals. And the first one was on peace, and that includes several goals. There's 17 goals, but we're doing it in 5 themes that include peace, people, all the health and education things. Prosperity is this one, getting an economy that works for all. And then partnerships, so that we're really building our network of partners in Alachua County, Florida, where I live. And then the planet. And so that will take us into March, when March and April become Earth Month. And we'll start another series of these 6, and we will have the children's musical play hopefully presented in a decent way, and the technology will be much smoother, I hope. But it's a program that's been ongoing and growing, and it's really helping my seed idea to grow from vision to reality, and hopefully many other people's as well.
Well, I think it's wonderful. And I think everything that we do to create awareness to people of all ages is the key, because without awareness, people don't push for change, right? We need
Yes.
awareness first. So I think it's all beautiful. And when you make it fun, and you have music, and you have acting and art and innovation, you have all the components. So I'm just really impressed. I like to help in any way I can.
Well, I appreciate that so much, and we'll figure out what your role will be. That's very exciting. So how about others? What are your thoughts about this?
So I'd like to add in, Robin, your article and your introduction to that was really important, because Sue and I have been working on how do we get this conversation to be more of an everyday thing, and to connect with people on the simple things that they can do that will make a difference. My friend Shoshana that was in sent a text message that she was so surprised to hear the complications that come out of idling our cars. She's a mother. She's got 2 kids she has to pick up every day and drop off. And she's like, I'm going to share this information with my friends. That was one good contact from that. But that there are simple things that we can do. And that's what we're trying to get these conversations, because we kind of lose sight of the process for change is not getting done at the level of the politicians and the big industry leaders. So maybe if we get the people talking about it, it can build up and get to them.
Well, let me share with you a thought, because it's something I just heard or read, actually. And someone was pointing out that, and also in the Story of Stuff, they did the Story of Plastic, which is a must-see documentary, must-see. And they point out, that there's 2 sides to personal responsibility. Sometimes companies use it as an excuse, like, well, you people aren't recycling. All that waste isn't our fault. So sometimes it is like a reverse effect. And certainly individual actions are not going to solve the problem. The important thing is that without the awareness that comes from those individual actions, there's not going to be the pressure on the people that can do some of the bigger major things that we need done. And we're just like sleepwalking,
Yes.
as a collective, we're sleepwalking. So it's, people can feel like, well, my individual action, what is it really going to do? Well, as it does do something, as you see, it does have an impact, and we can't ignore anything to reduce climate emissions, right? And do you know, I don't know if the kids know and everything, do you know that all these emissions are cumulative from like the beginning of the Industrial Revolution? So every little bit adds to that cumulative amount of carbon that we have to clean up and deal with and stop contributing to. So this 3 million tons in California a year, 30 million in the United States, and then hundreds of millions. That's part of we can't afford it. We can't afford that. And we can't afford to not pay attention to every little detail that makes us demand change at a bigger level. So that's just what I have to say about it. But Story of Plastic, you've got to see it. The companies, the petrochemical companies, this is another thing all the kids need to know. They are saying, we're going to keep using oil, even if you change to electric and other things that you're using oil for energy, because we're going to put it into plastic. And then they're going to they're making people dependent on plastic all over the world. And it's just a terrible, terrible cycle. We need to stop it. We need to stop digging this oil out of the earth. So.
Thank you.
Yeah, well, I recently saw something that came from credible sources and scientists that in the history of the world, now I don't know how far back they can go. They almost indicated that they can go back almost all the way to the beginning. And we do have ways of figuring a lot of this stuff out. But anyway, as far back as they could possibly go, the most rapid change in temperature was 4 degrees over 5,000 years. We are on course to do 4 degrees in 100 years. Now, when people start telling you, say, well, it's always been this way. We've always had these things going on and climate change and things going up and things going down. That's not true, not anywhere. I mean, it's true that it's been happening, nowhere near. I mean, absolutely. I mean, 5,000 to 1 day.
We see a lot of those changes in the past also have been accomplished to natural things. This is man-made. And so that's the big difference is nature has had cycles where there have been various levels of carbon dioxide in its atmosphere throughout its history. The difference, what we're seeing here is this is man-made that we're actually adding, and we're destroying the planet's balance. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
That's
No,
good.
that's all right.
Please.
The other thing that I just got a couple of quickies here. The other thing they're looking at is like the rapidity of it happening, of warming happening, like after the Ice Age. That's kind of one of the most rapid places or times in our Earth's history when the temperature was changing and getting warmer from the Ice Age. Well, it was getting warmer at 1 degree per 1,000 years. We just in the last 100 years, this is the past ones, and not looking at the going forward like I was talking about before. Again, we did a degree in 100 years. But the other thing I'd like to say to you, Sue, is that I mean, I think you're onto something. This is something that needs to be continued, and the kids that were part of this, like I say, have a lot of potential. And I think this is the kind of thing that it's going to help people move on. And I think that maybe one thing to look at is how you can put things that actually make a difference on the ground, like doing shows and doing things of that nature. I think are good because they attract people's attention and it puts the word out. But I think it'd be nice if we could do kind of both, do that as well as figure out, okay, now that we'll do that today, but tomorrow we're going to go out there in the garden and we're going to, weed the garden or plant seeds or something.
So that's the idea with having this as a climate conversation that's happening with the community. And then the part that brings it to life is the community doing things and reporting them. So ours is like inspiration and sharing. That's the role that I see this program being, but the real work is what people are doing that we are then sharing, that inspire more action that we can share then as well.
That you are seeding, you're actually seeding. And I just wanted to tack on one thing about what Jack said, that is important awareness. When things change in 100 years, habitats don't have the chance, and animals and living things and plants don't have the chance to adapt. Like a plant may need to migrate through seeds and so forth. It may need to migrate north to adapt to a changing climate. We're just taking that all away from our habitats in the world, the ability to adapt to this rapid change. So I hope we can really slow it down.
So my goal is to help make this so simple a child can understand it, and the children have the vision of the world that they want to live in. And if we can help them to do that with our global networks of support, helping to mentor them in this process and be there to help with those service projects and activities in the real world that are so important. That's where I'm headed with all of this. And Tabby, you want to tell about our roving reporters?
Yes, Roving Reporter is a project that we are working on that will allow people of all ages to engage in climate conversation in order to bring awareness to people about what it is they can do to really step up and contribute to actions that will not only counter climate change, but also bring awareness to the fact of what is happening. And we see this happening through independent individuals or as a group, interviewing key individuals within their community who are starting climate conversations and can inspire others.
All right.
So having a way to share those stories is part of what we're setting up that I'm hoping Bill Dorman can help us with. He is, I've worked with him for quite a few months, maybe even going towards 2 years. I was trying to figure out how to make this into a business. I'm not so worried about the business part. I think a nonprofit is really where we're headed, but we need to have kind of a business plan to bring this all into reality, because just a bunch of volunteers doing it is really good. I enjoy it, but it's not having the effect that we need at this time. So what we're trying to do is make a demonstration center in Alachua County, Florida, for a community-wide climate conversation to action program. And I thank you all for being part of it.
Yeah, and quickly here, you may already be aware of it, but of 501c3s and businesses are not mutually exclusive.
No, I speak a little to that.
Yeah, a lot of 501c3s run businesses.
Yeah. Yeah, well, that's what we need to do, is figure out how to make this work. And for 100% of humanity and the community of life on Earth, our home, right? Yeah.
And I do have an idea, because I wrote a proposal for a children's show called Heartbeat of Earth.
Oh.
And that it kind of encompasses, and just what Tabby, is that how you say your name? Yeah, that just what she was saying. There was a segment in there awarding, people who are doing things for their efforts, that like Earth's Turn Awards. So if we turn it into sort of a broadcasting that could start even on Zoom and internet, that is a business. That could be a business linked into, anyway, we can talk about it. But.
We will talk about that. And Tony, I wanted to ask Tony to just explain a little bit about your work with the inroads and drawdown and the kinds of things that you bring to this conversation.
I can. I think, just to underscore what everyone else has said about the importance of climate conversation and having conversations. So I mentioned En-ROADS. En-ROADS is a tool where it allows people to make the conclusions of things that we can do to combat climate change for themselves. It's a software model, and it's interactive with workshops where you can take people in and actually put them behind the wheel, so to speak, and see where their turns in terms of global, but the model is being expanded to where it's looking at oil pollution, and it's looking at a lot more other things. And more recently, there's been a multi-solving institute, and that means that you can solve other problems with climate change. And so there'll be more forward going in that direction in terms of not only can we solve climate change, but we can work on these other things, and we can show models that can actually give you a picture of what that looks like and what their impacts are. I'm also a drawdown governor, meaning the book 2017, which were the 100 most comprehensive solutions to climate change. The idea is that there are solutions that we can have now that can be implemented at a global scale. They're already there. And so part of getting out is to kind of introduce these ideas to people who say, oh, well, there aren't things that we can do. No, wrong, there are things that we can do. Here's how you do, or here's what's applicable to your community. But you still have to have these conversations. And the 17th Sustainable Development Goal is partnership and collaboration. And it's on the list for a reason, because that's going to be part of the way that we as a planet are going to do this together to get the solutions that we want for our children going forward. And so that's, just my background, engineer, did sales and marketing. I was teaching for 5 years. And so I've been kind of a lot of industries, including chemicals, environment, renewable energy. And so it helps me bring a lot to the table to help really kind of to put seeds back for the new generation as they make their way. So.
Good. And Tony's helping us to make a game. So we'll see how that works out. And thank you all for being here tonight. I appreciate it so much. Jack, you wanted to close with something?
No, I was just gonna wave goodbye because I gotta get going, but I guess the show is ending, right?
Yes, yes, indeed. Thank you all.
All right. Well,
And good
bye-bye,
night.
everybody. Nice
Okay.
being with you.
You too.
Thank you. We'll
Bye-bye.
talk soon. Bye-bye.
Trying to do it.